My name is Kyle Groves. I'm an EIT. I've been working for ATG for about 1.5 years now. And today we're here to talk about the CIM project suite and how we can come across some productivity enhancements for our life inside Civil 3D. So what is our problem? Well, we're aware of how dynamic and powerful the modeling tools are inside of Civil 3D, but it can be really frustrating dealing with them, with how inefficient it can be to actually set up these models and to update those designs using the tools as they come out of the box. So how we're going to get around that is we're going to use the CTC CIM project suite. This was designed to make our users more efficient inside the software. CTC software has created tools to automate these workflows with our survey tools, with our pipe networks, with our corridors, and even more new tools that we're going to show you today. Some of them are even free, and you don't actually have to purchase the suite to get that power back. So overview, these tools are so new and they're about to drop. I didn't even have a chance to get them put into the PowerPoint yet for today. So what you see up here is the old ribbon. This is the old way that we had these tools configured, again, for survey and such. We got some pipes, we got some corridors. I'm going to breeze through these. These are not going to be the main focus of the presentation. If we still have some time left over, I'll hit the highlights on demoing these. But we've got all those different types of tools. Feature line to alignment, you can't get that out of the box. Civil 3D does that for you automatically. Survey sweeper is the delete key that you always wanted when deleting your survey points and your survey figures for both your drawing and your database. Layer trace is a handy dandy little tool that helps you identify what is matched to what as far as Civil 3D styles and layers. And then we've got our pipe network tools, swapper, tagger, and designer. Part swapper lets you do that out of the box swap, but in bulk. So if all of your crossing pipes underneath your roadway were designed at 12 inches and your model says those need to all be 15-inch pipes, you go through, grab them all. Part swapper does it all in one tool, in one command. Part tagger does the same thing, except this updates your part properties for labeling and tabling. And then pipe designer this is one of the ones I'll get to if we have time at the end of the webinar, but this is the one that lets you use a spreadsheet editor inside Civil 3D to design your pipe runs. As far as our corridor tools are concerned, we've got a pretty big batch of these. We've got assembly namer, just goes ahead and adds some M text to your drawing. Corridor splitter, as the name suggests, takes a corridor and turns it into 2. Maintains all the targeting exactly as they were, you just now have 2 instead of 1. Corridor merger is the inverse of that, and that one is only available in versions 2018 moving forward, just based on how we had to code that to get that in there. But splitter and merger, inverse of each other, really helps you manage your projects from a data management or from a project phasing perspective. We've also got the corridor cleanup tool. This is basically a big old nuke button for your corridor targeting. As frustrating as it can be to go through that native dialog box, if you just want to start over in a particular region or baseline or anything like that, this is what we have for that opportunity. Corridor mapper is another really cool tool that takes all of your corridor targeting and it assigns it to, it creates a dynamic link between your subassemblies and a layer. So it's basically going to do that by layer, except it's always going to update and read for those new objects. If you go through and you decide you needed to add a couple of crossing driveways over your corridor, it'll just go ahead and pull all of those in for whatever subassembly you link up to a specific layer. And that's all the old stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to head into the software and we're going to talk about some of those new tools. And I also mentioned before that ribbon we were just looking at, that's the old ribbon. That's the mini version of this suite that we're about to release very, very soon. And by we, I mean CTC Software and ATG, that's me. We're the reseller of those tools in America. So all these light green tools, these are our free tools. So we can see in the expanded suite, we got to get a few more of those back for free. We got Survey Sweeper is now going to be a free tool. Part Swapper, as part of our pipe design workflows, that one's going to be free. And then Assembly Namer and Feature Line to Alignment, those were before. What we've got that's new is we've got this tool called Point File Converter. We've got this tool called Data Wizard, which has a couple of commands, and then sheet generator. I'm going to spend the most time on this tool today, but as we can see by all the buttons in here, this is almost its own brand new workflow. But what sheet generator does is it creates these objects for us that are going to dynamically update. So in Civil 3D, the out-of-the-box tool that we're going to use to manage that is this view frame group. But with our view frame groups, when we're creating our plan and our profile sheets, what we're going to get is we're going to get a static thing after those layouts get created. Sheet generator, as I'm going to show you guys here over the next 10 minutes or so, is going to give us an opportunity to make those sheets dynamic. And because there are so many tools up here, there's so many steps that are involved in getting us there, I'm actually going to step us forward. I'm going to show us the end result, and then we'll reverse engineer that and go back into it. So let me just get that drawing open. And then my sheet generator is also open. So this is the end result. And we're starting with just a Civil 3D file. We've got our surface. This is adding in some sanitary or some storm along this roadway. We're not really cutting into the road at all. We're not redesigning this roadway. We're just going to add in this sanitary along it and bring our grades all back to existing. And I can see over here in my profile view, I've got my existing surface, my pipe network. Everything is running clean down to about this station, station 1470, and then we're running back uphill a little ways. And what I can do is I can use all of these commands up here at the top to create my objects that are going to get referenced around. And I'm going to go ahead and just quickly run through those because I want to show you how we got to this point, this dynamic point. What we've got is we've got this concept, it's called a view shape. Now the out of the box is a view frame, but all this is this is going to be a set of polylines and a set of blocks that talk to each other that say, based off of my template, based off of my viewport, how much area do I have to print? That's what these green blocks are. And these are my plan view shapes. So this says how much area is available to me to print on. And then as these green plan view shapes get put down in along the drawing, based off of a variety of criteria, we'll notice that they've got some overlap. And where these view shapes cross each other, we get this match line, which is pretty typical for how the view frame, the native tool, works. But then what it's going to do is it's automatically going to, and we can redo this if we want, but it's going to take its first guess and dynamically trim. That's what this cyan line is. It's everything along our maximum viewable area trimmed within our match lines. And so when I have a plan and profile sheet, this very first sheet that's going to show up, this is going to be from station 0 to station 400. And it's going to grab all that stuff. And let me go ahead and show you that first layout. Running from station 0 to station 400. And then I've already got my plan view created here. So let's go ahead and let's take a quick peek at that. So the tool does run, this is the native out of the box, create multiple profile views. We got an extra little tool that helps us get our pipe networks put onto those, some automatic tools for adjusting our profiles. And then when we create these profile view shapes, that's these cyan lines. So again, this is a block representing our maximum printable area. And for that station 0 to 400, this is exactly what I had in my drawing. And if I zip back over that layout, we can see that it's pretty close, but it actually ended up not fitting into my drawing, and it is set to 1 to 20. So we can go back and we can make this fit. But what I want to prove to you all is that if I add in, if I change my alignment, if I change where these layouts go through, this drawing that's already created is going to look back at those other blocks those other as X references, and it's going to update this for us automatically. So I've got all of my layouts in here from this drawing 1 through 8. And if I add in, we'll go ahead and we'll say in plan view, how this is currently set up is I've got this taking in every 400 feet. This is our distance between our match lines. So every 400 feet, but make sure you snap to the nearest 50-foot interval. And I've got this, these special objects, our view shapes. We've got the drafting guides. Those are going to be basically our match lines. Or sorry, no, those are the CIM, those auto trims. And when I change this from 400 to 450, and I finish, we just saw these gaps move a little bit. That one was kind of tough. So let's just go ahead and run that one more time and get that to spread out some. We'll run that up to 500 at a 50-foot interval. There we go. So now our plan has gone through, and I can update all these. It involves a little bit of polygon trimming and stuff like that. I don't want to bore you. I don't want to take up your time. I just want to show you that now our very last view frame has very little space inside of it that we're going to be plotting. We can't really make these all any longer or separate them out. We're already aliasing a little bit of this curve potentially up there in the north. So when I go ahead and now I say profile views, still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 profile views. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plan shapes. These profile views are going to talk to the rest of these objects, and they're going to update. So when I go to adjust my profiles, it's one of these tools. It's just going to come in here. We say grab them all. These profiles are going to say, all right, what am I looking at? I've got 8 profile views, and I'm going to match the plan view stations of my plan view shapes. So it says my very first profile view is going to go find my very first profile shape, and I'm going to take that area and reassess it and run all the way down the line until it does that. The other thing that I get to do is I get to adjust the height of my profile view. And I can do a couple of things. I can center it based on whatever objects I have in here. So when we're doing plan and profile, we're very interested in our surfaces, we're very interested in our layouts and our utilities. And just like that option with the out of the box, we can go median, highest, or lowest. And then I can also change in this profile view height, and we'll run that at, we'll keep that at 50. Or sorry, we'll move it up to 60. And I'll say okay. And I just noticed these profile views got longer. And if I run the profile view shapes, what this is going to do is this is going to just look at all those, and then it's going to move these cyan lines around to approximate and say, based on where you're telling me to line this up, I still only have the maximum area for my plan and profile view. So I'll just say align with the match line with no offsets, and this is going to look a little goofy, but that's just because it's following what I'm telling it to. This is confirming all of my layer assignment, all that other stuff. But it updated for me automatically. And if I keep this, I'll run a save, and then I'll go into my drawing that has all of these layouts in it. And now that I'm in this drawing that has my layouts, I can go ahead and I can just update them. So when I say update my layouts, it's going to say, hey, we got to save our file. And it's going to come through and it's going to say, all right, we're based off an alignment, just like any other, just like our out-of-the-box view frames. I'm looking in my current drawing, which is the one that's active. You have to be in the drawing that's going to get updated, confirming your blocks. This does read XREFs. So if I had these XREF'd, I would go and find them on their appropriate XREF prefix and then go find that other drawing. Choose my north arrow block. I've got these fancy blocks that help come in for my match lines. I can assign attributes to them, just like normal other blocks. A few other parameters here. And since I'm in this drawing that has the layouts in them, that's what's showing up in this list. And when I say finish, it's going to come through and it's going to take this drawing, read all of those objects, read all of those shapes. And now for my very last sheet, and I know that these aren't lined up start to start, center to center, but for my very last sheet, when I said, give me, 500-foot stationing, all the other stuff, my last plan block moved all the way over here so that it only had that little bit. When I updated my layouts have updated to look back and check out all those drawings. So now when we're submitting our 90% plans and we had something that messed up a bunch of layouts between our 60% plans and our 90% plans or our 100% plans, we don't have to go back and recreate the entire sheet. We don't have to recreate the entire layout. We're using Sheet Generator. We've got all of these objects set up dynamically. A good execution of this workflow to present that would take at least a half an hour to be safe. So I don't have time to go through all of that, but what I did have time today was to prove to you guys that as we update these objects, as we change our design, this tool lets our plan and profile sheets update with our design. We don't have to start back over from scratch. So that is the Sheet Generator tool. Again, a lot of steps in that workflow. Some of these buttons are recycling and just repositioning out of the box commands, and others of them have created a whole new commands to make sure that we're getting this stuff to work correctly. Another really cool object that we have, or a tool that we have rather, is this tool called Point File Converter. So what Point File Converter does is, as the name suggests, and my licensing is prompting me a lot today. I'm not sure exactly why. But what Point File Converter is it's actually a standalone tool. It does not exist inside Civil 3D. But what it's going to do is it's going to translate our data between two different files. So if I open this sample up here, this is like saying, hey, we're in Minnesota, so I'm going to talk about MnDOT, Minnesota Department of Transportation. So I went out, I took a survey in the MnDOT codes, but I'm actually working on this project for the Hennepin County, which is where the ATG office is, the ATG North office. And my codes are completely different. So instead of saying BL, all these different codes. Maybe I've got my BC was back a curb, but in my code, I call it TBC, top back a curb, all this other stuff. So we say old code, new code. Our prefixes for for any of our codes are suffixes. So the first line of that figure database, the second line of that figure database, field code escapes, all this other stuff. And so I fill those all out, and Point File Converter says, so this is an alpha to a numeric. So we're saying we started with alpha codes, we're going to a different numeric code set, all this other stuff is set up. And when I create a new drawing in my survey template, so survey template, all my survey user settings are correct. Survey tab, working folder, new database. Let's grab this as it appears in the alpha code set. And I can see that this came in pretty all right. I've got a lot of layer assignment. I've got everything else. Some survey figures that need a little work, but hey, that's what survey editing is for. If I wanted to save this, let's try it again with the numeric code set this time. new database. I can see that this is not set up for my drawing and all of my stuff. So how do I take this numeric code set, or this numeric set of survey codes, and turn it into my alpha for my thing? Well, we'll go ahead and we'll delete the alpha, or close out of the alpha import. We'll save this as the and the simple thing I got to do is I got to run layer trace. After I re-register my tools. Sorry, not layer trace, point file converter. And since I've already got those mappings set up, I know that I have, sometimes I go out and I do jobs in one code set, and I know what it need to be to transfer it over to this other standard. So when we set these translations up, then we get to go ahead and say, all right, take this from the other code set, translate it over to the other one, and we will get that to work. So I'm going to choose my translation file of numeric to alpha, and then the file that I'm going to convert is the numeric input, and we'll save this to that same code. It's going to run, and now I've got this numeric converted file. And so it's taking these two, it's applying all of that coding and stuff. It's going to create a brand new CSV file for you to import. If we open this up, I can see no longer do I have any numeric codes. I've just got this all set up. And now when I go to import as a new point file converter to alpha, that numeric converted file is going to come in, and it's going to be real clean, and it's going to follow our description key set. It's going to follow our line work prefix database. It's going to follow our line work code sets. And this is how we're going to go ahead. We're going to set up known survey code set A. I know how that's going to turn into known survey code set B. I don't have to find and replace inside all of those files. Point file converter is just going to do that for us. So that is that tool. And the last thing that I want to show you guys today is the data wizard tool. And CTC worked in close collaboration with another firm to help get this tool out there. Bolton and Mink, I've actually, one of the people who helped get this set up is in the webinar today. But we've got this data wizard tool, and what data wizard does is this is going to look through your drawing, and it's going to find a ton of different objects. It's going to go ahead and say, all right, what do I have for blocks? What do I have for survey points? What do I have for, well, let's let the tool tell me what we can find. But I can go through, I can look in my current drawing, I can go out and find XREFs to look for, or find the XREFs in this current drawing. Or I can just go ahead and say, hey, go look for other drawings in this project that I want to count stuff for. And then we will go, and it's going to say, all right, this is what we can find. Everything in this list, it's going to go through and it's going to attempt to look for. And not only is it just going to tell me choose this, don't choose that. I can go in and I can filter out for these objects. So when I'm looking at the survey points, I can say, all of my survey points are going to have this information in common. Maybe they're on a specific layer. When I'm using these asterisks, those are my wildcards, those are my layer filters. I've got point descriptions, I've got point groups, object styles, that's a little bit more for the other Civil 3D stuff, but I have a ton of information where I can go through and find all that stuff. If I hit the refresh button, this is going to give me a count before I move on. So this drawing has 393 survey points, but based on what I'm looking for, only my symbols, based off of this filter right here, there's only 36 of these types of items that are going to meet those conditions and are going to show up in my table. I just have some more settings up here as for how those are going to go. But as I page through this, it's going to say, all right, I only wanted survey points and survey figures. Here's what I found. Do you want to include them? So I'd also have the opportunity to deselect some of this stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the water gate valve and these catch basins. We'll see how that shakes out. And if I go to next again, this is going to tell me, all right, so we've found our data. We've had a chance to take a look at it. Let's go ahead and let's create a AutoCAD table based off of this and put it in your drawing. So gives us an opportunity to sort this information. We've got all kinds of basically style stuff that we've got. We can include this as an AutoCAD table with whatever style we have set up in our template, but we also have the opportunity to export this to an Excel file. So not only are we going to be able to use this for legend creation, but this is basically a super souped up QTO manager. We'll just save that for now if we want. We can save this as a template out. Now, CTC is not in the habit currently of writing proprietary object types that are going to lock you out of your drawing or do anything like that. This is a proprietary object or a file format. This is not going to lock you out of your drawings if you end your relationship with CTC software. This is just something that we have to do to get this information back and forth between those drawings so that if we want to go ahead and I say finish, it's asking me for my AutoCAD table. I would put this typically in on my, my legend sheet and just close. And when I run up here, I've got a list. In this case, the legend that I just set up, I've got this set up for my drawing. So I've got streetlights, I've got catch basins, trees, signs, all this other kind of stuff. It's just going to label this all out for me. From here, this is an AutoCAD table. So if I want to set up the plot styles, all that other information, it's going to go ahead and it's going to find that for me. If I wanted to create a brand new legend from a template, I didn't want to set anything up. Well, hey, that is what I just saved out, my live template. And then this is asking, okay, do you want to kick that into Excel or do you want to go that as an AutoCAD table? So if I drop that right back in, hey, that's the template that I already had set up. And it appears, yep, that's the template that I already had set up. So I can go ahead and once I know what information I'm filtering for, I don't have to set this back up every single project. I know that this is the information I need for a Minnesota DOT job. This is the information I know that I need for the city of Phoenix. This is information that I know I need for County X. We save that out, we set it up, we press a button, it happens. And the last thing is if we add information, and I don't have the opportunity to do that right now, but we can say update an existing legend. We choose the table, and then we choose our template. So I go back in and I go find my, my data wizard type. We say, okay, it's gonna update for us. So super useful for two things. It's gonna help us out with our legend creation inside Civil 3D, but it's also going to help us track this information, count it up, and help us with our QTO throughout our project. And it's not, we do have to press the button every time, but the way that it tracks that information is super dynamic and a lot more intuitive to manipulate, to mess with than the Civil 3D out-of-the-box QTO manager. So with that, that is our half an hour. And am just going to talk about these new tools coming out very soon. I don't have a specific date, but very soon from CTC Software, sold to you in the US by Applied Technology Group, ATG USA. So what did we learn today? We learned that Civil 3D users should take advantage of the advanced, dynamic, powerful tool sets inside Civil 3D. Your pipe networks, your corridors, your survey figures, all that stuff are really cool and really great, and they give us models that update for us when we make our changes. No more polyline drafting, no more MTEX and MLeaders. Using these tools out of the box can be frustrating and efficient, especially, for example, if I do have a survey code or a survey that was shot in just the wrong code, and I got to convert it over to something else. There's no good way to do that inside the software. So that's why CTC wrote that tool to help us for those situations that show up in every day. So using these tools out of the box workflows, it can be inefficient. It can be frustrating. So what the CIM project suite does is it automates these workflows with the existing Civil 3D tools, and it's going to save your production team's time. That's what we're trying to do here, folks. When I go through and I create my plan and profile sheets with the out of the box method, the plan and profile, or sorry, the view frames, once I create my sheets, I'm done. That's static. I don't have the opportunity to change that information. If I use the sheet generator tool though, and all of the steps and all of the tools in that workflow, I can go through and I can update that information dynamically throughout my project from wherever that major change went forward. And that's a lot of time that I get to save, especially at the late stages of my project. So the last thing that's really, really important is the CIM project suite only uses native Civil 3D and AutoCAD objects inside the software. So these tools, regardless of whether or not you continue a business relationship with CTC, will never lock your designs behind a paywall. If there's ever a proprietary file type that's used, it's outside the software and it's not going to lock you out if that were to be the case. So go check out the website, ctcsoftware.com. We've got videos on all the different tools, descriptions, pricing, all that information is on the website. Go check that out. If you want to get a demo set up with one of your ATG sales representatives, give them a call. I would love to. My coworkers would love to give you guys a more thorough, more specific to your firm rundown of how you can use these tools to your advantage. So with that, I want to say thank you everybody for coming today. And I'm going to open the, I'm going to unmute everybody, or rather, I'll allow you to unmute yourself if you want to ask any questions. Otherwise, feel free to use the chat window. And thank you so much, everybody. Not seeing any questions yet, but stick around for a few more minutes. So Nick has a question about grabbing blocks for Data Wizard. Do we want to purge those blocks first? You know, that's a fantastic question. I'm going to have to get back to you on that, Nick, for a more specific instance. However, the way that I understand the tool works is that it is going to only read the active uses of those blocks in this drawing. So right now, I've got my catch basins and my manholes for my storm. So if I were to 1, 2 of those manhole symbologies, let's just go ahead and let's set that up. Yeah, so it's gonna only, and actually I do know this, I remembered it now. This is only going to read objects that exist and are being displayed in the drawing. So it's not going to go through and read objects that are empty or that aren't actually being put into the drawing. And when we go into the setup legend tool, we also have extra filters to accommodate, are we going to be excluding objects that are frozen? So right now, if I had these catch basins and these inlets, if those were on a frozen layer, I could exclude that and not count those. The other options that I have in this case is I can limit them to a specific viewport. So I forget where that setting is, but I do know that that is an option. I believe that's, yeah, that is an option. I can't find it at this particular moment, but, oh, here it is. It's right here on the first page in the middle, limit to a layout. So if you've got your limit in your, or if you've got a layout inside your drawing and you just wanted to count up whatever is on that page, the tool does give you the ability to limit that. And that's why we're going to set up legends for our individual tasks that we're looking for. So I can start from a template, I can save this out. Drawing number or page number 3, how many manholes do I have? How many inlets do I have? What is the lineal feet of my pipe? Things of that nature. Does that answer your question, Nick? Excellent. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. My email is kgroves, G-R-O-V as in Victor E-S, at atgusa.com. You guys have any more questions about these tools, go ahead, drop me a line, and have a great rest of your day.